Welcome, everybody, to the Modern Drummer Podcast. I'm David Frangioni, Modern Drummer CEO and publisher, and we're here live from the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame. And a very special guest, man. Welcome, Haze.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Yeah, man.
It's good to be here. What's going on, David?
It's great to have you here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, Haze, let's start at the beginning of how'd you find the drums?
Okay. I come from a family of musicians. My father plays guitar. My mom sings. Everybody in my family sings. But my cousin, he was the drummer for my church. And when I was younger, I was singing in the choir. I wasn't playing, really. I was singing in the choir. I was like, oh. But, yeah, I played football, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the NFL, and I wanted to be a police officer. I don't know how I was going to do both, but that's what I wanted to do. So high school comes around, and I live out of the district of the school that I want to actually go to. The only way for me to go to the school was to be in what they call the CVPA program, which was the Center of Visual and Performing Arts at Suitland High School. So I got accepted into the program.
For singing?
No, for drums.
Oh,
for drums.
okay.
Yeah, so I had to learn how to read music. You know, all I knew how to read was quarters at that point. But I got into it. And I couldn't do football and I couldn't do the music program at the same time. So I chose the music program. Music was always like the backbone. I played drums as a hobby, being a kid, but as I grew older, it just became my main thing. And that's where it just took off.
And then what's your first professional gig after that?
My first professional gig after that is with an artist named Raheem Devine. He's a soul, R&B. He calls himself the neo soul hippie, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, that was my first gig.
And what kind of places are you playing at that point?
At that point, my first gig with him was in Punta Cana, actually.
The DR.
Yes. So I was underage, and it was in Punta Cana. It was like an arena sort of thing, for a festival that they had out there. But it was, city wineries. We played at arenas, amphitheaters,
so
and,
big places,
things like that. Yeah, and we actually did the Cincinnati Jazz Fest at the Bengals Stadium, which is Paul Brown Stadium. So we did that for a festival.
And where did you learn kind of being thrown into places that big? Because most people, when they start playing, it's clubs,
right.
Then it's bigger clubs,
yeah.
Like they graduate.
Mm-hmm.
But you were like in big places right from the beginning. So how did you cope with that, and how did you succeed in such a large and new environment?
Well, a lot of it came from me watching. I watched Aaron Spears until I couldn't watch Aaron Spears anymore. So watching some of the videos that he would put up or that people would put up of him, just watching live shows, watching Michael Jackson's live shows, Usher's live shows, different artists like that, Justin Timberlake, and just understanding, okay, I hear how they sound like visually through my YouTube or through my TV, and I'm like, okay, I want to sound like that, but I also want to play what I want to play. But just understanding that it's not just go for it all the time, but talking to a lot of my what I call OGs, and my mentors and things like that, they help prepare me to play in bigger places. But really getting that experience just came from being thrown into it. Yeah, and that was that.
And were you practicing a lot to be prepared for that? When you weren't on the gig, were you doing pad work or kit work, or how were you prepping?
Honestly, I was downstairs in my basement. I had a radio that I used to play to, and then I noticed that my ears start going a little bad, so I actually got a laptop, and it would just be me downstairs just having a playlist that I call my shared playlist. I would go downstairs. I would literally lock my door sometimes and say, y'all drums, y'all gonna get this work. So I would just go down and I would just be playing.
So it was by playing to the music,
yeah.
And then the technique and the approach to it was worked out just because you had to work out the parts.
Yeah, that's really what it came from. I studied. I didn't really study too much of like proper technique or things that they would call proper technique. Mm-hmm. It was just really what felt good to me is what I did, and that's really what came. It wasn't until I got older till I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to preserve myself because I want to play. I do want to play, for a while. So I need to learn how to preserve myself so that I'm not losing limbs or my back isn't hurting while I'm,
Yeah.
doing different things. So I really had to start getting my health in order and things like that. But yeah, just
So you were very self-aware, and you were also studying a lot by watching the drummers that you looked up to and that you
yes,
kind of role model. Like, I want to, the
yes,
Aaron
this is what
Spears,
I want to do.
great
Yeah.
guy, great friend,
Yes, sir.
amazing drummer.
Yes.
You know, what an inspiration. So he
Yes,
had, did you ever
always.
meet Aaron?
Yes,
Yeah.
Aaron is actually from my hometown. Aaron is like a big brother to me.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
guy.
he's like a big brother to me. Shouts out to you, Aaron.
Yeah, man. Aaron, awesome. Awesome.
Yes,
Cover
sir.
artist, of
Yeah,
course, then some.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So then what is the next step along your journey? What happens after?
The next step for me was diving more into my personal brand. As as everyone pretty much knows me out there as Haze Amaze. My real name is Hazeman Abraham II. Okay, but people can't always remember Hazeman. So, Hayes. And when I was in middle school, one of my friends just came up to me and was like, "Yo, I saw your video on YouTube, Haze Amaze, Haze Amaze." So it kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
But that became the next portion of it. Just, okay, how do I make myself a brand to acquire the things that I want? If there are certain sponsorships that I want to go for, how do I make that happen?
So
through
you
my
have
brand?
support
Yes.
towards your touring and playing,
Mhm.
and you're starting to sculpt your style.
Yes.
And what does, when I want to play like Haze Amaze, what does that look and sound like? You are starting to sculpt that.
Yes.
So after the first round of touring, then you went to Leela James.
Yes. Yeah. So it's crazy because there's a guy by the name of Young World who is a mentor to me. He's a music arranger, and pianist, and just an overall great guy. But he helped me get that gig, actually. So I would study from him. He helped, I would say, birth me into the live show playing, how the industry, like how it sounds with the industry. And if I want to get the gigs that I want to get, he helped me do that.
So he was a mentor.
Yes, he was a mentor. He used to send me live shows, live arrangements, and say, "Hey, like, study this, listen to this." And it just so happened that the Leela James rehearsal was one of my favorites to listen to. And I learned it unconsciously. So COVID lifts up August 21st, and her first show back is Cincinnati Jazz Festival. And he calls, he's like, "Hey, the drummer that we had playing can't do it. Can you do it?" I'm like, "Is that really a question?" I'm like, "Of course I can do it."
And you
Like,
knew all the
I
material.
already knew all the
That's
material.
awesome.
That was the great thing about it. So
Preparation,
yeah,
man.
Yes.
And it sounds like you do a lot of that.
Yes.
You're always studying, you're always preparing, and
Yes.
just ready.
Yes.
That's a
Definitely.
huge attribute.
Definitely.
And then now you're with Nas,
Yes.
right? And doing arenas and huge places, iconic artist.
Yes.
How's that going?
It's an amazing gig to be on. I would say that. Very, very great team of people, a great team of leaders that I'm around on a daily basis, and getting to travel with these people. I've learned so much. Just from the year that I've been playing with them, I've learned so much. I've learned so much about music business. I've learned so much about playing. I've learned so much about what and what not to do on the road, how to prepare for being on the tour bus, how, just things like that.
Things that aren't necessarily drumming,
Exactly.
but hugely important to
Yes.
being a professional drummer.
Yes. I've learned so much of that, and it's been an amazing time. Just being able to connect with him, being able to connect with the DJ Green Lantern. They've
Because
been together for
this
a long
this
time.
show is you and Nas and a DJ.
Yes.
There's a trio, but not the traditional trio as
Right.
we think of, right? So how's that going? What's that like, playing with a DJ and a track, presumably, that the DJ's
Right.
spinning?
Cueing, yeah.
Hi, it's David Frangioni, CEO of Modern Drummer. Thank you for leading our drumming community and being such a significant and important part of everything we do here at Modern Drummer. We're so excited. Please hit the subscribe button to Modern Drummer's YouTube channel. It's just, hit it below. Be part of everything we're doing every day, every week, every month. Also, check out our shop. It's so exciting for drummers to check out. We got back issues, got some incredible drummers. We've got shirts, we've got hats, we've got notebooks, we've got education. It's all there. If you love drums and drumming, like I do, and I'm sure you do, and all of us at Modern Drummer are so passionate about. You got to check out the shop at moderndrummer.com. And please, again, hit the link and subscribe to the Modern Drummer YouTube channel. I'll see you again soon.
It's a good thing. I would say that it's a good thing that I had a radio in my basement, and I was able to just play to tracks all day long because I'm not using clicks. I'm not using a metronome. I'm not using what we call slates or any of that.
Right.
It's just literally me playing to the backing track. But it's amazing because Nas, he's an artist. He loves jazz as well. So he's very into what's going on musically, and he's very much like a poet. And he loves the art of being on stage. So things can just happen during the show where he goes and then the DJ goes and they do a back and forth thing. Sometimes I may add a little drum beat on it, but it's a lot of improvisation that goes on.
Nice.
But it's an amazing gig to say the least.
Wow. And
Yeah.
and what is your setup? We're going to do a rig rundown, and you'll cover a lot of this.
Yes.
But high level, are you using electronics in this setup?
Yes, I am. I'm just using basic electronics, Roland SPDS pad. I use a trigger from X Percussion actually called the X Arc. It's something new that they've just come out with. So I'm using that, and it goes along the rim, kind of like a groove, the groove wedge. It goes around the rim like that. So I'm using that, and I'm using the pad, and I use a foot switch as like a what they call pad check on the Roland SPDS, just to quiet the sounds so that I can play without the sounds triggering. So yeah, I'm using a couple things electronically on the gig.
And
Yeah.
you're triggering them in real time.
Yes.
Are you playing back any loops or anything like that? No, because you
No.
got to with the timing. You've
Right.
got to be able to just you
Yes,
just
sir.
need the sounds from the record, basically,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
That
Yep.
you can trigger.
Yeah, so when I'm playing, I'll be playing the groove, and if I need to go to like claps or something like that, I use my left foot, take it off the hi-hat to click the switch so that the sounds turn on, so that when I go to a trigger or a pad, it's activated.
Live.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I'm not using it anymore, I click it off and I go back to playing what I'm doing.
Awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
And what's your favorite moment when you look back at, you're a young guy
Mhm.
and you've already played iconic places with great artists, and so far in this chapter that's being written, what's one of your most, favorite memories?
One of my favorite memories is playing at the O2 Arena in London. Ooh, it's that. I got to give you two. It's that, and then a sold-out show that we did with Nas at the beginning of this year at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow.
Those are two of my favorite moments. And at the Madison Square Garden, it was such a special moment for me because I had my wife and my kids there. And it was just all full circle. Always wanted to play there. And then the O2 Arena, legendary. I wanted to play there since I saw Aaron playing there, YouTube clips, and knowing that Usher did a tour there. That was my favorite band to listen to, which was FRO. And from the O2, ever since, I'm like, I want to play there. And I got to play there. So those are two of the highlighted moments for me,
And how is it that a young man who's been drumming for like 10 years, let's say, right?
Yeah.
But you're what, 26?
26, yes.
So how do you manifest playing dream places, right? Madison Square Garden, O2,
Right.
and you were real specific because you knew
Yeah.
the band that you liked from that show, and like you had a vision of like, that's what I want.
Right.
And how did it actually happen in your case? Because that's extraordinary.
Yeah, just thank you, first of all. And then honestly, just doing the work, staying the course on whatever you're doing, keeping a good reputation. You don't get gigs if you have a bad reputation, because before you get a gig, people call. They call around, hey, what do you think about this guy? I'm thinking about hiring him. If people are like, oh, nah, I wouldn't trust him. He doesn't show up on time, or he doesn't learn music. You don't want to be that guy. So keeping a good reputation, studying, and just being persistent. You have moments where you don't want to do it anymore. There was a moment
You want to quit.
Yeah, there was a moment when I got out of high school and I wasn't really doing anything. I'm like, I don't want to get a job, but I had no gigs. And I'm like, wow, I want to quit. But just being persistent,
You
know,
didn't. Why didn't you quit?
I didn't quit because I didn't want a job. I didn't want to have a regular 9 to 5, and music was my passion.
So that drove you
Definitely.
hard enough that you said, I got two choices, and the one that I definitely don't want is
Right.
going to drive the one that I really do want.
Yes. And then I started actually going to see a few, live concerts or just local shows.
To
just
inspire
gain,
you?
Yes, to gain that inspiration right back. And it helped a lot. But, staying steadfast, praying, fasting, that's just something
You
that
have faith.
I do. Yes.
You have a lot of faith
having that
in yourself,
Yes.
in God,
Yes.
that it's going to work out.
Yes, sir.
Even if you can't see how
Yes,
in
sir.
the moment,
Yes, sir.
you believe it will.
Yes.
And that's worked.
And being faithful in the little things. So local shows, not being like, oh, it's a local show, so I'm just gonna bull jive around, but just saying this is a local show. I'm gonna do my best here so that I can continue to do my best when I get there. And that's one of my favorite scriptures says, about just honoring your faith. I've entrusted you with the little things, so now I'm going to give you great things. It drove me, to just really, really continue to honor my wife, honor my kids, honor my craft, honor the gift that, God has given me, and just nurturing it. And,
And
things
it's
just
worked
happening.
in a
Yes,
big
sir.
way. But faith is
Sir.
powerful stuff,
Yes, sir.
especially when you really have it,
Mhm.
right? Anyone can say it, but when
Yeah.
you're practicing it and you're mindful and you live your life with those little things,
Right.
You're looking at them and you're saying, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I don't trip up, because those are the places where, as humans, we
Right.
just, like you said, you get a little gig
Mhm.
and you kind of judge it.
Exactly. Yes.
But you
that's so
haven't
true.
done that. You've been
Yes.
you've been true to the integrity of,
Yes.
if somebody trusts you, then they get 100% of you or 110% of you, whether it's Nas or whether
Yes.
it's a local club.
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's awesome. And
Definitely.
it's working, man. Because at 26, playing Madison Square Garden, the
Yeah.
O2, you dream venues
Yeah.
inspired by your dream drummers.
Mm.
Amazing. So we're gonna stay in touch, and we're gonna
Okay.
keep everybody up to date
Yeah.
on what's happening with Haze Amaze.
Yes,
And
sir.
continued success on the Nas tour. I can't wait for everybody to see your rig rundown
Yeah.
and see what you got going on up there
Yes,
on the
sir.
stage.
Yeah.
And
it's gonna be
so,
amazing.
what do you have for our parting words to the Modern Drummer podcast, to all the drummers out there? What do you want to share?
A parting word to all of you. Just continue to do what you love to do. When you have a passion and you begin, I'll talk to them. When you have a passion and you begin to allow the media or the public into that, there are going to be a lot of negative things that they have to say and a lot of positive things that they have to say. But you have to stay conscious and be aware of who you are. Be confident in who you are in order to get to where you want to be. When you don't trust yourself, you make mistakes and you don't go for things because you don't trust yourself to have it. And one thing that my mentor, Young World, had told me, he was just saying, like, in any situation, you have to be able to adapt, which we call being a chameleon. So being able to be a chameleon and adapting to any situation that you're in will take you far. And just, stay the course, keep your faith, and study, practice really hard. And yeah, that's
Just keep going for it.
keep going for it. Have your dreams and don't be scared to achieve your dreams. Don't be scared of the success that your dreams can bring to you.
Hey, this is Vinny Colaiuta.
And Kimo Williams. Please check out our Red Summer 1919. It's streaming now.
It's a must listen.
Also with Mike Stern, Richard Bona, and Michael Brecker.
And what does that look like if you do get scared, right? Well, because I'm sure you face that, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens?
Being scared of the success, I feel like it results in failure, honestly, because it's
You
just
undermine.
and just that kind of thing. One thing I like to say is to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. As y'all can see, it's on my shirt. But I feel like this way you're always prepared for whatever is going on. You're prepared for the best possible scenario and the worst.
And by preparing for the worst, the best will only be better.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're
actually,
that's really the
I like
key
that,
to
yeah.
that's the key to the whole thing, right? Is
Yeah.
is that you prepare for the worst case scenario. You know, maybe this drum kit can move and fall off the riser. So, you know, you put it in a situation which as a tactical approach to that, it looks like to me that when you're preparing for the worst, you're not assuming.
Exactly.
Because that's really
that's
the tool to not have the worst actually happen.
Right.
That's how you prepare for it, in my experience.
Yes.
Because it's when people say, and they say it all the time, and I see it more often than I wish I did, because it's the worst, right? Is that someone just says, oh, that's not going to happen, or that'll be okay, or that's good enough.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah,
You know, like,
and all of those things are a risk.
Right.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Successful careers are not made by that philosophy.
Right.
They're made by a philosophy of it's going to work every
Yes.
time, even if
Yes.
the stage shakes, if the artist
Yes.
jumps up on my riser,
Yes.
if my bass drum, you know, if this happens or that happens, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you subscribe to that fully.
Yes, sir. And something that you just like you said it kind of indirectly, but your terminology is important as well. Saying, "Oh, I'll try," or "I hope," I hope. That's all good and well. But when you change that to "I will do this," that helps when you manifest it and you say it out loud. You have it written down, and you're able to just say, "I will do this,"
And you do it.
Yes.
The worst thing is it goes the other way. When you say I will and then you don't, then what happens is you actually start feeling a little bit of shame.
Right.
And it starts going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So you got to stay true to your word.
Yes.
But it starts with, you know, what thoughts,
Yeah.
words, actions,
Exactly.
outcome, right?
Yes, sir.
And so it starts with, you know, saying it after the thought.
Yes, sir.
But then you got to go through with the action.
Yeah.
And you do,
Yes.
I do.
Yes,
we
sir.
want everyone out there too, because we want you to live your dream. We want you to accomplish whatever your goal is, however you see your life being this extraordinary, you know, existence and accomplishments and creations. That's what we want to see everyone achieve,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I
That's
know
what it's
you do.
about.
You're doing it. I'm doing it. We want
You're doing it,
everyone to do
yeah.
it. Want everyone to do it.
Yes, sir.
He's doing it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Haze Amaze.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again. I'm David Frangioni. Thank you for tuning in, of course, to our Modern Drummer podcast. Check out Haze at a show and city near you with Nas.
Yes.
And we'll see everybody soon.
See y'all soon. Thank you. Thank you, David, for having me once again.
Thank you. Good? All right.
Sweet.